Hello, my name is Tina Beliveau. I am coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland, and I am so excited to be here. I am going to just flip to my intro slide and tell you guys a little bit about me. Okay, so I have had the pleasure of being a real estate agent since 2005, always here in the Baltimore suburbs. I've done a lot of different things over my career, which I might touch on a little bit as I present today. I was a solo agent for years. I actually got into the business as a licensed administrative assistant to a great agent, got in the business as a solo agent through college, and really built my business through referrals and organic social media marketing, which is what we are all about today. And I'm excited to talk to you about everything that I've learned and discovered about how to do that really effectively. And as my book of business basically grew and grew, I built my own team called the Beliveau Group. So cumulatively, we've sold a boatload of houses, very much like a boutique team structure. I've had different sized teams over the years, and I've kind of found my sweet spot being a referral-based business. People expect a very high level of quality from everything that you do and everyone that you employ. So our team, we currently have 6 team members, 3 agents, myself included, 1 full-time admin, 1 showing assistant, and a home stager. So that is our business model. I love EXP. I've been here since March of last year, so just over 1 year, and absolutely love it. I've been blessed to have a lot of people follow me here and be part of the organization that I've built here. Before coming here, I was really involved in Keller Williams. I was a part owner, investor, and team leader, aka recruiter, at a big franchise here in the Baltimore area. So a lot of experience coaching and training along with selling houses. So that's what I'm coming to you with, and that is where I'm going to go. So I did just want to throw out there, I'm going to kind of reference this a few times. If you want to follow me on Instagram and or DM me and connect with me, I would love to network with all of you, get to know you, be potentially a resource for you in the Baltimore area, and we are going to take it from there. So any questions you guys have, please drop them in the chat box. However, if you want to just liaise with me directly, just know I'll return my Instagram messages by the end of tonight. And thank you, whoever called out my Madonna headphone. This is supposedly good quality. I wouldn't say it's my aesthetic brand, but Judy told me it was the one to use, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so with all that being said, so why am I talking about referrals? And I call it the 3 R's: referral, repeat, and retention business. I feel like some of this is kind of obvious, but I didn't want to skip over some of my foundational thoughts as far as why I do this. So first and foremost, I like working by referral because I don't like to prospect. Actually, our last presenter was amazing, by the way, and he was kind of closing out saying, it's all about getting people to come to you, and that's really my game. I've always been somebody that loves to market, and I sort of grew up with social media. Like Facebook came out while I was in college, so I was like a pretty early adopter for all of that. So I've always loved figuring out, how can I get people to come to me, and then I don't need to go to them and maybe experience rejection or even like have to work as hard to earn the business, keep the business, whatever the case may be. So that's really it. I'm definitely relationship driven, and I love that running a referral-based business is really profitable. It's a pretty low cost to acquire and keep your clients, especially if you're, in the situation I think about before I had a team and I was just working my tail off, doing a great job for every client that I worked with. And eventually, in the beginning, I was not as confident as the presenter you see today. That is what I can tell you. It was hard for me to even say to people, I would love a referral. I would love for you to introduce me to people. Like, it took me years to feel like I had the right to say that, whether, I could have had a mindset breakthrough earlier or not. I really just built my business by doing a great job, impressing people, and earning their loyalty. And that's what I'm going to talk about a lot here too, is kind of blending who you're being that person that people trust and value, and then having the marketing systems and habits behind you that they also don't forget about you. And in my case, I always want them to kind of be a little bit impressed with what we're doing and the kind of operation that we're running. So that is why I'm into the 3 R's. And if you guys have questions or thoughts about any of this, make sure to put them in the chat box because I would love to hear. And then I'm going to be snarky just for one slide, and then we'll move on. I think we can all agree that most real estate marketing can really stink. And I listed some of my biggest complaints. And if you guys want to add some of your complaints of why you think real estate marketing could be done so much better, feel free to drop them in and we can have some fun. But I think that a lot of marketing is cheesy. Back in the day, there's this great referral coaching program out there, but they would send me their materials. Like I was paying a hefty monthly fee, and then they would send me this stuff and they would be like, use this, it's your newsletter. And I would look at it and be like, oh, I have to rewrite everything. It's not, I didn't even have a brand back then. Like I didn't have a logo, I didn't have colors, but I didn't like how things looked. Things weren't articulate, or it was like national statistics that had nothing to do with where I lived and what was going on in my market, just way too general. So those are some of the things. Demonstrating value is often missing from a lot of real estate marketing, if you ask me. And then I just had to poke fun at the food recipe. I will say I have some beloved friends in my local market, one of them being a lender that I work with. He swears people love his recipes. It's just not my thing. So we all find our brand. And I will say, like, I'm going to say a lot today about how I do things. A lot of it might not resonate with you whatsoever. I think the encouragement that I have for you more than anything is to figure out whether you want to call it your brand or who are you, like what value do you bring to your clientele that you can communicate? Put some thought into it, because people do notice. They expect their real estate agent to be good at marketing. I mean, in their mind, they're like, this is someone who sells houses. How good are they at selling and marketing things? So I really think that it does matter. So with all that being said, I think the biggest thing that gets in the way of agents is that it takes work to be a good marketer. And for some people, it doesn't come naturally. Some people, they're too busy. Some people, they're too intimidated. I've, fallen into all those different categories at different times, depending on what was going on in my business. And this has been an evolution from 2005 to 2021 when you're seeing me today. So my next little piece that I wanted to touch on is, it's funny, when I was running a real estate brokerage and I actually was like out of the day-to-day of my team for about 3.5 years, I spent my days calling and meeting and talking with agents, consulting them on their business and figuring out what was in their way. And like anything, just like when you sit down at a kitchen table with a seller and you have the same conversation over and over again, they generally have the same challenges, the same concerns. And it's the same thing with us as agents building our businesses. And this little list on the slides that you can hopefully see here really summarizes what I saw over and over again. And I found that agents generally had two issues. The first issue was having enough leads and those leads being consistent. And then the second issue that would come later is I have too much business and I need to I'm trying to build a team. It's hard, I'm messing up, whatever the case may be. So this presentation is all about solving the first problem. And generally, these are the things that would get in the way. Is everybody knows they should have a database, but they've never gotten the data together, or they don't have a CRM, they have nowhere to put it. They are not techie at all. They just don't want to get into it. Maybe they've done some of the building blocks, like you've put some people in a CRM, but then you've never sent anything, or maybe they're getting recipes. I don't know. We don't have to talk about it. And that's where we kind of get into my next bullet point of, maybe you're spraying some so-so marketing around town. It could be like drip campaign newsletters that are okay. People are probably archiving and opting out at a decent rate if that's the case. Or maybe you're at a point where you really ought to be investing some time or money, depending on what you have, and something's holding you back. So I would say those are the biggest challenges. Maybe you could just take a little moment to say to yourself, what is my challenge in this list? Or maybe it's a different one. Let me know. You can put it in the chat box. We'll talk about it during Q&A or maybe on Instagram. But these are the things that I see that really cause people to struggle. So let's get to the solution side. Don't want to be in the negativity too long. Like anything worthwhile, it takes work. Anything in our business where we want to be elite, where we want to set ourselves apart, it does not happen on its own. Whenever it does happen, look like it's happening on its own for someone, there's probably a piece of the story that we're missing. And then I would also say when someone is really in their strength zone, it can look effortless. So one thing to think about as you listen and learn today is, what is the strength zone that I'm not working in, or that I'm working in, but I could take to the next level from what I'm learning. But at the end of the day, it is going to take some work. This is what I told agents all the time when I was consulting them, building my brokerage, was basically, here's the thing. you are going to need to eat that frog. You are going, if you want to have consistent business and you don't want to prospect and you don't want to pay for internet leads and figure out how to convert them or pay an ISA to convert them, it really, all the roads lead back to having a database. So if that is what you're going to do, you need to eat the frog. You need to get the data together, do all the things, and then it is going to be an annuity that is going to pay you for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, your database will pay you. Your past clients will come back to you. They will refer you. Maybe not even 100. You don't even need 100% of them to come back because it's a snowball effect. The more homes you sell year after year, the bigger your database gets, the bigger your influence, your network. So I think we all know that, but sometimes we need to be reminded, especially when we are not feeling like doing, I always call it the dirty work, like sitting down and exporting your contacts out of your iPhone. Like, who wants to do that? I don't, but I did do it because it pays me and it pays for my family, my house, it pays for a house that I'm flipping, it pays for my team, it pays for them to have great careers. So I have to keep that front and center when I don't really feel like doing those little projects. So hopefully this inspires you a little bit to get into action. So from here, I just want to give you guys some really simple database math. This is, these are some broad strokes, but it's a great place to start, whether you're new in the business or not. I basically say, take your annual unit goal and multiply it by 10. So say you want to sell 25 homes, multiply that by 10. By my math, you want to have 250 people in your database. So the first thing I say is, how many do you have now? Do you have a database? And we're going to talk about KV Core. That's the amazing CRM that EXP gives us that I encourage all of you to be using. I use it myself. So the question is, how many people are in there now? And what's the gap? Do you have 3 people? Do you have 25? Do you have 500, but you don't have any contact info? It's just names. Take stock and then figure out what the gap is. And then your job is, as quickly as reasonably possible, to get to your base number. And then I want you to implement some of the things that I'm going to teach you today. Bottom line, get everybody in KV Core. It's the one thing, well, there's a lot that I'm going to emphasize, but that's one thing I want to emphasize. So from there, let me just jump to my next slide. Anyone that's been in the business for a while and that has been to any kind of database training, you've heard probably about the 33 touch, the 36 touch, this, that, the other. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm kind of known as like the database woman, the referral person. So like I have a pretty good line on how much contact I need to have with my database. And I will tell you, there were times when I actually made way more contact with people than you see on this screen, but it was not at high quality or it was unsustainable. The low quality was when I was sending crappy newsletters that were like, look how many houses I sold, like over and over again. It's just boring. It's not personally relevant to people. There was also a time where I was having tons of events and it just kind of exhausted me and everybody around me. Obviously, you can probably get from my presentation style. I have a lot of energy, but you've got to manage it and have a baseline. I'll speak for myself. I need to manage it and have a baseline that I can deliver week after week, month after month. So this is what it looks like for me. The foundation of it is 24 of my 37 touches are email. I love email when it's done well. We have 2 pieces here that I'm going to get into of how to do that. And then I also love mail. I love getting cards in the mail. I love getting gifts in the mail. Who doesn't? I have a service that I use for sending out postcards and also gifts, which is actually not really fully in my touches, but I'm going to teach you guys all about how I do that. And then I'm a big believer that no matter how long you've been in the business, you should be having at least one client event every year. And I'm going to give you my best event ideas. There are so many ways to do them at low or no cost and not be, I don't know, if you haven't had an event, maybe you could put in the chat box why you haven't yet. In the beginning, I was so afraid of looking stupid that nobody would come. It just felt like such a leap of faith. And then I finally did it and I was still nervous, but I figured it out. And then I've been having events for over 10 years now. The great thing about events is they're value add and you can really do things that work in your community and you also get a ton of touches out of it. So I basically say you could easily have 5 touches out of one event, which is why you don't need to have them constantly. And then social media is a bonus. So now we're going to get into how to do all of this. So moving along into the how. Okay, so first things first, I told you we were going to talk about email marketing. 24 of the 37 touches are email. 12 of those 24 you can do with KV Core for free. You can do all your email with KV Core. But first, I'm going to give you my favorite tool. There is something in there called a market report. So if you guys are with EXP, I hope you've signed up for your KV Core account. If not, you can go into Enterprise, click a button, and they'll hook you up within a couple days. You also get a great website. Then you get your people in there, and then all you need is the zip code where they live, whether they rent or own, or where they want to live, or where you think they might find it is just interesting. And they will start to receive updates of listings for whatever that area is. Super simple. And again, it's custom. It's zip code level data. Is not, the Baltimore Metro, or fill in the blank for where you live. So I just put in 2 screenshots so you could see what this looks like. So just on the right side, I sent one to myself and grabbed a screen grab. It's just showing what's going on in my zip code, trends. Everybody wants to know this. If they don't want to know this, they probably aren't interested in real estate at all. But everybody kind of wants to know what's going on, what's coming in the future, how it even impacts their stocks. Like, that's a perennial interest. And this is where you can get away from the non-custom newsletter challenge. And then just to show you one more screen grab, as you scroll through that email, there are a bunch of listings, and it's clickbait. They can click and look at anything that they're interested in, and then guess what? They're on your KV Core website. And if they click around enough on your KV Core website, it's going to force a registration and then put them back in your database. I also love sharing KV Core links on Facebook for this exact reason. I've captured a lot of people that I know organically, nothing paid, but they see something on, usually it's like a listing of my own. They go on the site and then they're registered, and then they're automatically getting drip campaigns because KV Core is, a great piece of technology and knows how to take care of that for people. So if you have nothing in your database foundation, great news for you. This is ready. You've got 12 touches that you didn't have before you started today. Now, the next one, and this is my long slide, I apologize for the non-detail people, but I kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there so you could at least take a look and get a screen grab for this. So this is next level. This is when you've made the decision that you want to be a great marketer, and that you're going to take the time to curate something of value to your people. It doesn't have to be an email. I've just found that it's really easy because you can make one email and send it to everybody. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time. And there are really countless ideas. So I dropped in the bullet points that you can see on this slide, and I'm sure we can get a copy of the slides out just so you guys know. Sharing a relevant news article, promoting an upcoming client event, or anything coming up in your community. Excuse me. I'm just talking too much. The bottom line is I want to encourage you to be the voice of value. You guys, it seems like I'm crying. I'm really fine. I've just broken through with my voice box, apparently. So this is your opportunity to establish yourself as the voice of value. In my case, I'm kind of a geek, if you didn't pick that up a little bit from my presentation. So I love reading the New York Times. I get some of my best real estate article content from there. So when I see something great on the Times, I basically take that article and interpret it. And then I do a few client events a year. And it's basically one email a month. So one month it's an article. The next month I'm promoting an event. And before you know it, I'm just stringing it together, and people are getting 24 emails a year from me. But I'm not going crazy trying to come up with reinventing the wheel over and over. I tend to ping pong back and forth between those couple things over and over again. So now we are going to jump to I think I would say my favorite topic, which is mail. This is something that I integrated into my business a little bit over a year ago. And I will say that I was actually overloading people with email for a long time, with email that I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best kind of content you could send, somewhere between a 3 to a 5 consistently. I had a bad open rate. People were opting out. Even people who liked me, they weren't getting value. And I said to myself, how can I cut through the noise? Because some people don't look at their email at all anymore. So I decided to go all in on mail, and I finally found a service. I'm just going to plug the service that I use. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that you can send great mail to people, but I use something called Mailbox Power. And actually, there's a little link in my Instagram profile where you can learn more about it. There's even like a 10-minute YouTube video that I recorded where I explain how I use it. But if you can see my slides, you can see that I use the same service. I've completely automated birthday cards and gifts. So I have a little system. If I have your home address and your birthday, and I do grab birthdays from Facebook, and at closing, you get a card. If you've ever referred me, you also get brownies. So I have 2 different tiers for that. We also religiously send out a thank you birthday brownie box to anyone who refers us. So if person A refers me to person B and I don't have person A's address, I'm reaching out to person A and saying, you referred me, thank you so much, and I want to send you a little something, what's your address? So I am constantly making sure that I have actual contact information for people in my database. It's a mental commitment. But like any good habit, once you build it, it's really simple. And you should be reaching out and thanking people when they refer you anyway. So just adding on and saying, hey, what's your address? By the way, like, what's your birthday? Then I just get them in my systems, and then they are hearing from me and feeling loved by me forever, which is my goal. I also use the system to send out little touches of love. So this is some of my like next level stuff. We have templates. So when you sign a listing or a buyer agreement with us, you get another little sweet treat in the mail. When you go under contract, you get something different. So by the end of the sales process, people are feeling so appreciated and acknowledged by our team. We've got all their contact info, and then they're really in our network for life, which is what my goal is, for them to feel like they're part of, we call it the TBG community. The Bellevue group is my team. So those are a couple of things we do. We also use cards for special occasions. So I do friend all of my clients on Facebook. So if they get married, if they have a baby, whatever's going on, we send cards out. Also, when people get puppies, this platform, you can actually, I'm all about dogs. I don't have any dogs in here with me this time, but we have a little thing where you can get like a bandana with the dog's name on it. We send that out to people who've gotten puppies and kittens. They love it. They post on social media. So we really try to bring it all together. And also, anyone that's ever bought with us gets a home anniversary gift box with a bunch of treats and a card and a thank you. So I love this because a lot of people have opted out of social media, especially over the last year and a half, for various reasons. They're not looking at their mail. There's only so many times that I'm going to like text them. So for me, mail is this way to reach them. No one else is doing it, and it makes them feel really special. So I'm just going to show you guys a couple examples. Okay, so you can see the little bandana here, hopefully, for a little puppy. I've got my home anniversary boxes, and then on the right side is my birthday box. So it cost me about $10 to send 2 brownies out, including the material and shipping. Some people are asking about costs, and I can unpack that more a little bit later. I will tell you, I spend a fair amount on gifts. That being said, I've done the math. Past clients are worth, they're worth, a full commission, whatever your commission is. I don't want to like put a dollar value on people, but you know what I'm saying. Past clients are priceless. So my home anniversary box costs like $50, but I'm like, I have hundreds of past, we only send it to buyers. It doesn't really make sense for sellers, but I'm like, if I can send you something really special once a year and be that person in your mind, is that worth $50 a year? Absolutely. And then the rest of my marketing is low or no cost. I get my events sponsored, which we'll talk about. So these are just some examples, things for you to think about. I did not do this at once. When I got my little mailing system in place last year, the first thing was I just wanted to get my birthdays automated. Tackled that. Then I focused on having referral gifts automated. Then I started doing the fun stuff. So like anything, you want to stair step. You don't need to have it all figured out, but there's a lot of places to start with it. And again, I have a link in my Instagram bio if you guys want to reach out to me and hear more about that. So we've got email, we've got mail. Now we get into the outreach. And I'm going to tell you guys a dirty little secret. I'm at a point where I've been doing this for so long that I do very little personalized outreach. As I was really building my book of business, I purposefully called people and texted. It's funny, texting has really taken off. Even compared to like 2010, it would have been almost kind of a different situation. But I don't do a lot of this anymore, but I would say as like a general best practice, a quarterly outreach is a really great idea, especially if you're thin on some of the other touches that I'm teaching. I just think it's all about how you do it. I think, first of all, there's no wrong way to communicate with people. For me, it's always like, how can I be authentic? How can I be adding value and not make them feel like, what is going on? Like, why is she reaching out to me again? And why is she asking me the same question she texted me 2 months ago in the same text thread? So I keep it really organic, and I leverage social media big time. One of my favorite things to do is look at people's Instagram and Facebook stories at the top and reply privately. So I find ways to engage and stay in relationship that are kind of just in flow with what's already happening. I like being on social media. I spend a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram. I consider it some of my most dollar productive time because I am purposefully reaching out to people and purposefully posting content of the messaging that I want people to get. Do I waste some time there too? Absolutely. But my business would not be where it is without organic social media, no question. So there's a lot of different ways to reach out to people. I would just say you want to be doing something. If I wasn't so active on social media, I would definitely be needing to do more calling and texting than I do. My other thing is you guys can turn, if you're a Facebook user, I think who isn't at this point, but if you're a Facebook user, you can actually go into your notification settings and turn Facebook, the setting on for Facebook to email you every day with today's birthdays. So every morning early in my inbox is a list of everybody whose birthday it is. I do have that in my CRM, but like I just like getting this little email and then I look at it, and anyone that's a past client, I either text them or private message them, kind of just depending on the relationship. I do have like a funny little thing that I do that you guys probably won't take this idea, but if I really love somebody, I will sing them a happy birthday voice memo. That's a way to really be remembered. So that may not be for you. I'll be curious in the chat box if anyone else is doing that. You should try it. It's a real wow moment for people. But the bottom line is nobody calls and texts on birthdays anymore. It's like the bare minimum to just post on someone's Facebook wall. So I always say take the birthday and do something with it. Last thing is I actually developed something last year. It was around, I guess, yeah, it was the beginning of November, and I felt like I had kind of gotten out of touch with people a little bit too much, and I posted on my Facebook. I have a lot of real estate Facebook connections, and I said, does anyone want to do like a 30-day reconnection challenge where just getting back in touch with a bunch of people that you haven't talked to in a long time? And like 200 agents opted in, and then I was like, oh man, now I need to like curate like 30 days of really good content, and I did. So I put my game face on. I put together this 30-day challenge, put everybody in a Facebook group, and gave them an assignment every day of one easy way to make outreach using a blend of social media and just like other forms of reaching out to people. I actually like recorded and saved the whole thing and uploaded it. So if you want to download my 30-day reconnection challenge, the link is also in my Instagram bio. So that's just something that I've had, and I thought, hey, why don't I put that on the slides and let you guys know? If you're kind of looking for ways to get in conversations with people and don't know where to start, there's a lot of different ideas in there that we'll kind of build off of today. So I've got 14 minutes to go. I'm going to just keep flying. Thank you for bearing with me. And I'm glad I stopped choking to death. I was worried that would happen for the entire presentation. So one of the touches that I recommend is that you have some kind of client event annually, and the options are limitless. There are so many things that you can do. I'm just going to fly through a couple different slides of some imagery. On the left side, you might see me and my husband with a puppy. We did something at our local SPCA, which has actually been a huge part of like my personal brand. I'm on the board of the SPCA. We've done a lot of giving. We've had events for our clients there. So any sort of charitable, nonprofit, or school connection that you have is a great way to really have an event that's not about you. It's about an organization. I found a way to make it fun, including the time we had a new puppy. Everybody got to meet the puppy. So I'm always like, what's my angle? Like, how am I going to get people here? Everybody came for the puppy, if that doesn't surprise you. So that's what that picture is about. The middle one, the middle photo here is just a photo from a 5K. So this is a different organization that I was really involved in at the time, and they had an annual 5K. I put it at the whole database. Hey, we're putting a team together. Does anybody want to run? And we had like 25 people come and run with us. So that's one of my favorite examples of like have a 5K or a walk, like whatever you can invite people to. It may not bring in your whole big database, but it's just a way to be a presence and not spend anything. And again, remind people that you're a giver and all that good stuff. Also, kind of on the giving front, this other picture is there's this great nonprofit in my area where you can pack lunches for the homeless, and then normally you hand them out, but with the pandemic, we just packed behind the scenes. So that was just a little screen grab from that. We bought the food, dropped it off, and then that was actually just a team event. And then afterwards, everyone in my database was like, we would have wanted to do that. Can you do it again? And can I bring my kids? And whatever the case may be. So sometimes it's like these little aha moments where I'm like, that's totally going to be an event next time. And I just log that like in my iPhone notes and keep all my ideas running because I won't remember them when the time comes, which is why I love having phone notes. Another angle is holidays. So we've done some fun different things. If you can see the picture of Santa with the crying baby, this is one of my favorites. We've done several holiday open houses where people come and get a photo with Santa, have a snack. I always do it at my house. That may or may not be for you. I'm not I love to party, but I'm not like somebody that like wants to have everybody over naturally, but people, if you are like a relationship based realtor, like they want to see your house, they want to like see behind the scenes. So anytime we do anything at our house, people are there. We had hundreds of people at that holiday open house, and then that's my friend as Santa. Like we didn't have a professional Santa. Like there are so many ways to do things without spending thousands and thousands of dollars. In that middle pic, you'll see a pie, my friend picking up a pie. That's one of our mainstay events. We do a pie pickup every year, the Monday before Thanksgiving. We give away a really good pie. It's one of our bigger investments. We have sponsors that help out with that. So Thanksgiving pie is a great, obviously like universal holiday, which is a good one. And then there's another example here. We did kind of a similar holiday open house. And if you can see the picture of me with Elsa, another, like, again, like, I'm like, what's the angle? What's going to bring in the people with kids, the people without kids? This was, hey, bring your, kids in and they can get a photo with Elsa. So we've had, and that's someone that she actually worked on our team at the time and also had like a side hustle in a princess business. So again, it's like, what can you utilize in your network to bring people together and have fun and kind of tie all the pieces together that you're a person who is at the center of your community and providing value to your clients because you're someone who knows a lot of people. That's usually one of the things that people value in a realtor. Last angle that I'm going to give you is to host at a unique or interesting venue. On the picture on the left side, you'll see that is my local spin studio. I actually teach spin just a little bit as one of my side hustles, but this is before I was teaching and this is before the pandemic. But I invited a bunch of women in my database, and then we had like a class of 25. They loved it. That was really fun. In the middle and right side photos, those are some happy hours that I did at breweries and venues that were brand new in my city. So we call it hot and spicy, where I'm like, what is like kind of a hot and spicy restaurant or place that's new and people haven't been there yet? Or like the fact that we're gonna, give them free drinks at that place would, mean something to them. So I've also done events at places that were not so hot and spicy. People are less interested. So there's a lot to be said for putting some thought into like, where do people want to be? And then how can I create the opportunity and make it easy and fun for them? And oh gosh, this one is funny. I did have this crazy idea. I think this was in 2016 to have a crab feast, and hundreds of people RSVP'd. It was like having a wedding. I don't really recommend the crab feast unless you're going to have a very like limited number of people. We did have 450 people come. That was by far my most expensive event. I did get a lot of sponsorship. In Maryland, people love their crabs. I'll just leave it at that. We also have done a fall fest every year at a farm where people can come get a pumpkin and get pictures and all of that. So those are some of my best ideas. I could go on and on. There's a lot. Saw somebody say, holy cow. That's what I said when I saw the RSVP list for the crabs. My friend Vlad, I don't know if he's in here, but we were together when I was like, there's too many people coming to my crab feast. And he was like, can you turn it into a hot dog feast? And I was like, I don't think so. I think people are coming for the crabs. So we made it happen, but that was one of my more wild experiences. So I'm going to close it out here, and I'm going to hopefully have a minute to answer some questions. Is how can you use Facebook from an organic place? Obviously, there's so many ways to do great paid marketing on Facebook. I think Ogo is presenting tomorrow on that, if I have my facts straight, and she is like the authority in my mind on, sort of like the paid social media Tactics, I've always just been super organic based because I'm generally pretty cost conscious. There's certain things I invest in. Clearly, you can see like I'm personally excited about gifts and having cool parties. But when it comes to Facebook, I just like to post, I like to engage. And then my other really great tactic is at the start of the pandemic, I was about to have a fabulous party, canceled it, and then was like, what the heck am I going to do? And I decided to launch a private Facebook group for my clients, which I think I have. Yeah. So we created our client community in March of last year, and that is like a whole story in and of itself. I actually taught a whole thing about it a month ago for a different real estate summit, and part of it is I created a Facebook group playbook. You can also download that from my bio on Instagram, but basically that is my place for my people. We have almost 300 people in there at this point. It's opt-in relationship marketing. People only end up in your Facebook group if they ask to come in it, or if you invite them and they say, yes, I want to be in it. So for me, that's my top 20%. We do contests in there. We have so much fun. And I'm not posting in there constantly, but I usually average about one post a week. Sometimes I go a little longer. Sometimes there's more going on. It's really a place. I don't market there. No marketing. There's no like, look at my new open house. I mean, we didn't even talk about that. I kind of alluded to it with real estate marketing mistakes. It's not about self-promotion. It's about building a network and being the voice of value. So that's how I use my Facebook group. I love that topic. I need to teach about that in EXP World at some point because it's a really good time. Here are just a couple examples if you can see my slides. Last year, we kicked off the group with a sweepstakes called our Bellevue Group Bonanza, and then I gave away $500 to 3 people. So I made more of an investment there. It was $1,500. And then, as you might be able to see in the pictures, I got like a huge check because I am cheesy sometimes, but on purpose. So that was a lot of fun. And then a lot of people post in the group when they need a contractor referral. Everybody needs a good contractor. Everybody's hired a terrible contractor and never wants to go through that again. We hear from our clients in the group all the time, can you refer me somebody for X? Again, my playbook has a lot more information. So just something for you guys to look at if you're interested. So closing it out, there's some other things that I've done beyond the 37 touches that I have touched on today. We have online review systems. We make sure that we thank people when they refer us. We've even developed a VIP survey where when you're under contract, we send you a little questionnaire where you tell us like your favorite charity, your favorite type of flowers, your favorite sports team. We verify your birthday. So I saw somebody said, please teach an icon class. I'm going to. I talked to Judy about it, so we're going to make that happen. But the VIP survey is great. I am a CRM ninja. I will say that proudly. I tag everyone who I consider it so important to know if you bought or sold with me and in what year. So we have a tag, seller 2021, buyer 2019, really simple. And if you refer us, you get tagged referred and the year that you referred in. And then I forever have a record of the key things in my business, which are people that hired us and people that referred us. So there's some thoughts for you. We also have a VIP program. But we don't have time for that today. I wanted to really give you the foundations. So what I want you to do is, hopefully you can see the slides. There's 3 questions. I want you to pick one of them and answer it in the chat box. Question 1 is, what could you be doing now that would be easy, fun, and authentic for you? Back to what I started with, how can you work in your sweet spot, in your talent zone, in the effortless zone of genius of who you are, because I promise you have that. Second question is, what relationship, vendor, or team member could you leverage now to implement something for you? So for those of you that have assistants, that have teams, have access to a free intern, have people around you that want to be involved in your business, who could you be leveraging to help you get somewhere with what I've taught today? And then the third question, which is probably a great one to answer regardless whether you want to put it in the chat box or not, is what is the most glaring gap from what I've covered today that if you addressed it would have a really high ROI? There's always something. I know what my gaps are. A lot of what I've presented to you, I've really been finessing over the last year and a half after coming to EXP and overhauling all my systems to be digital. So we have all been there. Oh, look at that. KV Core, database entry, database. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for engaging. I appreciate it. So It's 4:12. We've got just like 2 minutes till the next presenter. I just want to invite you one more time. Find me on Instagram, follow me, DM me, and then as you can hopefully see here, there's a link in my profile. It's a link tree. By the way, if you guys don't have a link tree, it's a free tool, really awesome. You can look at mine, and in there you can download my playbook. You can learn more about Mailbox Power, which is again how I do all that cool mail, including my postcards. You can get connected with my 30-day challenge. You can whatever. So I'm going to open up the chat box here and see. So a lot of people are asking about the slides. I think we'll find a way to share. I'm sure we can find a way to share those. At a minimum, I can get them into my link tree, and then maybe somebody from EXP Tech can weigh in on where the slides go. I know this is also being recorded if you want to watch it back. Let's see, what other questions did I get? Anyone want to, there's so much in the chat box. This is so much fun. Thank you all for being here. I'm definitely going to teach an icon class. Holy crabs. So somebody asked how many events do I do every year? My target is 4. I'm actually doing something a little different this year. You can't really see, I'm super pregnant. I'm going to be having a baby this summer. So I got a couple like small events kind of out of the way before our flagship events that we'll do in the fall after baby. So I just did an event at a local boutique where I brought in someone that has a flower cart, and then we had a mimosa and mocktail bar, and then people could go in the boutique and shop. That was so easy, very well received. The women loved it. I do a lot of like female centric stuff. I'm also doing another collaborative event in a couple weeks with a local interior designer at a home goods store, and we're going to like talk about real estate and home and all that kind of stuff. And then later this year, I'm going to do the fall fest that we always do and the pie party. And people asked about production. We're doing about 30 million, 100 units a year in the Baltimore area, give or take, depending on the year. Last year was kind of a funny year for us with the pandemic and me moving out of brokerage leadership back into production. And that was really what spurred me on with a lot of what I'm teaching you guys today, which was my marketing hasn't been great consistently when I was not in the day-to-day of my business, and I need to reconnect with people, but I don't want to be desperate and I don't want to go begging for business. So how can I market myself and be that person that people see value in? So I'm just going to wrap it up right here so our next presenter can get on the stage. I'm going to check out the chat box. Again, connect with me. I hope that you guys got something of value today, and most importantly, put a little thought into what that gap might be and where you could take things next. So thank you. Happy Shareholder Summit.